Brian Johnson here from Duck Dog Trainer. Today I want to go over how to handle your dog once you get it back home from a training program. First thing I want to encourage you to do, get a pinch collar and simply go over obedience with your dog. Put the dog on a leash, walk the dog around, heel, sit, walk away a little bit, tell the dog to stay. Go over these simple commands, keep everything positive, but make sure that you're in good control of the dog. You may want to get a buggy whip so that you can tap the dog on the rear whenever it sits. You can show it the whip to make it stay. This ought to be no problem if the dog has been trained. We'll go over this for a little bit. Once we've got the dog doing our obedience, I want you to start doing some retrieves. Okay, so we'll take the dog, we'll have the dog sit, we'll have the dog stay, and hold it on the leash. Here again, we're pretending the dog knows nothing, even though it does, and we're going to throw the bumper out. You'll release the leash, call the dog's name, let it go get the bumper, make the dog come back. If your dog is trained to spin around and heel, and to sit and deliver, then make it do that. My preference is for the dog to come back to sit in front of me, facing me. I make the dog sit, take the bumper out of his mouth. If the dog drops the bumper, simply pick the bumper back up, kind of cup the dog a little bit on the chin, tell it to hold until the dog holds the bumper, and then take the dog out. Repeat until you have single marks that are well delivered. After this, we're going to do the same thing with double marks, and then you'll start having someone throw your marks out in the field. Okay, after we've done this, let's go over some hand signal drills. I want to talk to you about how you handle the dog on the hand signal drills. Here are the commands. Okay, we're going to line the dog up in the line that we want the dog to run to. The direction that his spine and head are pointing is the direction that the dog is going to go to. Specifically pay attention to the spine. Okay? The dog's going to, you line the dog up in this direction. You're going to tell the dog dead. You can do the kind of the American way where you hold your hand over the dog's head, you line it up, you tell it back, or you can do more of the British way where you do the opposite hand and you tell the dog back. Either way, whichever is your method, be consistent. We're going to get the dog going back to a bumper. First off, we'll just start with one that it sees in the mowed grass out on the ground. Sit, back. Come back, get a nice delivery. Gradually increase that distance, all right? Then once we start working on some hand signals, okay, I'm going to go over the hand signals with you. You're going to take your whistle, you send the dog out, he gets offline, you blow the whistle. It's one long blast, comes from the diaphragm, not from your cheeks, but it's come from the diaphragm. So the dog should spin around and look at you. Once the dog looks at you, you're going to begin to cue the dog on the next cast. Okay? If your next cast is an over, meaning the dog is going to need to go to your right or to your left, okay, then you're going to cue with your hands down at your belt. The dog will look at you. You're sitting there with your hands down at your belt. If you want him to go to your left, you will take a step to the left, take both hands, tell the dog over. If you want the dog to go to your right, you cue him down here while he's looking at you, both hands over. The reason I'm encouraging you to take both hands, a lot of people talk with their hands, especially us Cajuns down here in the South, and next thing you know, this hand will be doing something over here while this hand's doing something. So just get in a habit of kind of using both hands. Okay, if it's not going to be an over, but it's going to be a back, we're going to get the dog to look at us, then I'm going to cue my hands at my chest. When the dog looks at me, he should automatically know it's not an over, this is going to be a back. I can send the dog back and spin around to my right by placing this hand straight up, not out, but straight up. Back. It'd be what's called a right back. I can do this. Back. That's a left back. The dog is going to spin the direction for the hand that I'm using. If I want the dog to go back and at an angle, kind of a cross between an over and a back, then I'm going to say, cues from up here, I'm going to go back. I'm going to use both hands and I'm going to point them at a distance between the over and the back. Okay? And I can do that for my right side and for my left side. Okay? I encourage you, practice this, go over this time and time again. You may be asking yourself, what is the need for a right back or a left back? Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to get, let's say I just shot 2 birds over here to the left, and the dog wants to go to the left. That's the general area that he's sucking towards because he feels like there's probably going to be a bird in that area because he's already picked up a couple. But he needs to go to the right. Rather than give him a left back, which when he spins around, he's going to be looking towards the area he doesn't need to go, I'm going to give him a right back so that he looks in the area that he needs to go as he spins back. I'm always going to be steering this dog away from trouble. Okay, so I encourage you, go home, take your dog, set up the drills in the yard where you have a pile back at second base, a pile at first base, and a pile at third base. Put your dog on pitcher's mound and work on giving these casts and these cues. Remember, the overs are from the belt, the backs are from the chest. If you have any questions at all, you need some help learning how to handle your dog, feel free to give me a call, 409-460-2314. You can visit us on duckdogtrainer.com. Remember, my name is Brian Johnson, and I would love to help you with your duck dog.